My name is Rob Ryder, speaking out of West Cornwall, and this is just a video regarding, this is the book I wrote with Patrick Quentin, Conscious Humanity, Morality, Freedom and Natural Law. And one of the chapters that I wrote in there was called Divided We Stand, United We Fall, which is kind of the opposite of what people normally say. And it's based on the principle that oil and water don't mix. So we're seeing things at the moment where, with the illegal immigration, with the complete destruction of the cultural makeup of this country. Now, whether you think that's good or bad, that's your own personal opinion. But yes, the culture is being completely, utterly destroyed and rebuilt as multicultural. Now, different cultures simply don't mix, and that's why oil and water don't mix. It would be nice if people respected each other's beliefs, but on the whole, they don't, because a lot of beliefs come together and clash. We had the Tommy Robinson March recently, obviously controlled opposition, who's trying to create more of a division in between most of the British population and the Muslim population. That's his job, to see Islam as the enemy. On previous videos I've done, you'll see that's simply not true, because there's bigger stuff behind all this. So that's more division. And yet there is, on the surface of that, there is an issue with the Islamic culture and the Christian pagan kind of British culture clashing, and it doesn't mix. We don't have to hate each other, but it doesn't really go together. And also multicultural, it goes on the presumption that all culture is good, when actually the vast majority of culture, which culture is a belief system which manifests in a certain pattern of behavior within a community. Now, as I explain in the book, a natural culture, what you call a natural organic culture, would come out of the peoples living in the environment. So the Inuit would build maybe houses out of ice blocks. They'd have ways of keeping warm in the winter. They'd have to learn certain hunting skills because they'd be dominantly feeding out of the oceans. That would dictate what clothing they have, because they'd have to use the animal skins for the clothing. That would dictate to them what kind of food. It would dictate to them when there's plenty to eat and when there's not a lot to eat. In the Amazon where I lived, you see, there again, the environment dictates the culture. When it's that time of feast, when it's that time of famine, when maybe you've done all the hard work and picked the crops, and there's a week or so now you can just chill out and relax and have the benefits of your labor, and pop open the local jungle juice, and that's where all the dances and the music and the festivals come from. And these festivals in the Amazon area, in the villages, would be related to the animals, to the jungle, to the climate. It would all be relevant to how they're living. And the music would be dictated what instruments you can make. And there would be dances that would imitate animals and things like that. So you could say that's a natural culture. And the time to pop open the jungle juice and relax for a couple of weeks would be dictated by nature, because you have done all the physical hard work, you had stored up an amount of food or whatever, and then you could have a little bit of a rest, things to do. And so that's where the festivals come from. But that would be dictated by nature. We have, and that's, you could say, the natural good things of culture. Yeah, the music, the local brew, the festivals, but they're all dictated naturally by what's happening in the environment. The clothing, again, dictated by the environment. What we have in the modern world, should we say, is most culture is guided by religion and superstition. This book, in fact, we couldn't get the guy who was the company that was supposed to wouldn't publish it. Said it was too hot to handle, because you're talking about the things that we're not supposed to talk about: religion, culture, And we're not attacking it, and we're just saying how things are. If anyone's studied on any decent level religion, especially the Abrahamic religions, you'll see it's all based on astrology. Or what, and then astrology became a religion, which is astrotheology. But any religion, you can see they're just all forms of putting minds in a box, mind control, all religion. Once you put your mind in a box and this is how it is, then you cut off for other potential information. So a lot of religion dictates culture. And so we're told to embrace religion, embrace culture, embrace your religion, embrace your culture, be tolerant. But what if that belief system expresses a behavior that is bad against women, which a lot are, children, violent, bad against other people? Should we tolerate that? Should we be tolerant just about everything? What do you think? The religions, that want to mutilate the genitals of either young girls or boys, should that be tolerated? I leave it to you. That's just an opinion, isn't it? The religious and cultures that sell their young girls off to men like a business deal. You have arranged marriages. There's culture in North Africa where young girls, if they won't fatten up and eat lots of dairy, are beaten by the mother, because in that culture, a man who has a fat wife, that's a sign of wealth. There was another culture in sub-Saharan Africa. There was a documentary years ago where more young girls had been raped than can read. Is that a good aspect of culture? And all the sexualized messages coming out of the Western world, our Western culture, is that a good culture? The way young girls dress, the way it's portrayed in music and Hollywood videos, is that a good culture? The mass sexualization of children in schools, is that a good part of culture we want to keep? So we're given this thing that multiculture is great. Is it? Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm putting the information on there. Is culture great? For me, you take away the local traditional music, festivals, food, clothing, which would be dictated in main by nature, or the rest is mind controlled or just horrific stuff. The way people see women, the way people treat, especially young girls. Is that a culture we want to embrace? And if you don't believe in that, should you have to tolerate and embrace it? So these are the questions that people need to ask themselves, especially these woke people, because we're going to the woke in the book. Should we tolerate everything? And then again, when it comes to freedom of expression, if somebody wants to do that in their culture, do it. Just don't impose it on anybody else. Then we're all happy. Yeah? So we're told them we have to come together. Is it possible? Is it really possible to all these divided people now, which humanity has been done an incredible number on by people behind the scenes, psychologists, occult psychologists behind the scenes, done an incredible number on mankind, on the psyche of mankind, divided us into these all belief systems, and everyone's so sure that they're right, therefore everybody else has to be wrong. And then we're told we have to come all together and be tolerant about each other. It's been well planned, and they've really done a number on us. And now somehow this mass of people have to be conscious of that and unite against the common enemy, which is the global occult elite. You could start looking at who runs the financial system. So can these people come together? Well, you see on the Tommy Robinson march, it was pretty much, your white, native, traditional English people. You have other marches, there'll be another set of people, but they won't come together. And they just can't see they're being played off on each other. Now, again, you've got one aspect, yeah, you have a right to protect your culture, but there's a bigger game going on. I'm not sure. Fiona Rose Diamond, I think that's her name. The second name is Fiona Hine. It's got a march coming up soon. It would be good to see Christians, Muslims, Black, White, Asian, Jews, whatever, all at that march, all together, denouncing a common enemy. But to do that, they would have to admit that they've been conned. Yeah, because all these religions and belief systems were created by that common enemy. So can you go on that march and then walk away from your belief system? It's very difficult to see how that can happen. So I think, well, you look at whoever the leader is, Starmer at the moment, and he's got his cabinet, and they dictate the politics to 60, 70 million people. Now we know there's people behind the scenes, but they're out of our touch, so they're irrelevant. It's whoever the leader of the country is and the cabinet, that's how we can potentially hold accountable. But it's easy to say mass non-compliance, or just, yeah, one person in Parliament says this, we're not going to do it. Oh yeah, that's easy. But they've got thousands upon thousands upon thousands from the people to enforce that. And they are big sticks, because everything that comes from government at the end point is violence. Yeah, they use threats, coercion, fines, but it'll finish off in physical violence and the destruction of your life. That's how government works. It's no different than a mafia. And at the moment, that never gets pushed by the people who are putting this out there. You won't see the politicians doing that. It's the police, private security, the councils, the judiciary, all these people, the public servants, who are enforcing the police state on their own people that they came out of. And you have to look into how did that happen? And you have to love it, which we go into a bit in the book, common purpose and the common purpose mindset, and how for many, many years they've been getting sociopathic, narcissistic, weak people into positions of power. Yeah, throughout all the departments, sociopathic, narcissistic people, so, and weak people, so either gonna just follow orders out of fear or because they want to, because they like this illusionary power they've got. So, you know, if you want to, you're a bit of a sociopath and you want to join the police, you've got a free reign to beat people up. And if you're narcissistic as well, you've got the same free reign. Narcissistic people tend to be weak people, but they're given that uniform that gives them that sense of power. But you can't physically defend, even though lawfully you have a right to physically defend yourself against beating up, you can't when it's got a uniform on. All the laws that are coming out from the local councils pushing the global agenda, what can you do? You say, no, not going to do it. Well, you get people at your door, big guys at your door threatening violence. What are you going to do? Because you can't give violence back to protect yourself. Yeah, there is no self-protection law that's going to protect you, because the judiciary is completely controlled. So what, you can't do anything. You have to not follow the orders, but take the beating. You're not going to win. I've got a friend who bought land, maybe about an acre and a half, boggy land, kind of worthless. He got a horse stable on there. There must have been horses. And a husband and the children have converted that into a beautiful 2-bedroom little house. Put the stable into the original condition on the outside and a little 2-bedroom place inside. They've got a spring on the land, so they've got free water. They've got a composting toilet. They've got a polytunnel, grow some food, and they had solar energy, so completely self-sufficient. Now, apparently, we're being told by the council this is all about saving the planet, the green economy, sustainable living. Everything they're pushing on us, my friend has achieved, being kicked off their own land. Why? Because they didn't ask permission. Yeah, because you can't get planning permission, because then people can't afford it. If you bought land for 20 grand, then all of a sudden it's got planning permission, it's worth 120 grand. People haven't got that money. But they did what in theory we're being told we need to do, live a sustainable life, they're being kicked off. And going to be made homeless. Who benefits? Well, nobody benefits from that, except the control system. You know, the local people now, there'll be another house, a big family house that's going to go off the market if they can find one. They're going to consume a lot more energy if this fake green agenda was real. And if they don't move off the land, thugs will go around and beat them up and arrest them. That is the situation we live in. I've got to be very careful what I say here now, because you know, if I insult someone personally, or they take it personally, a group of people or anything, so you just have to be very vague in what you're saying. I'm not insulting any religion. I'm not insulting any belief. I'm putting the question out there: is that belief system, is that cultural behaviour, should it be tolerated? I'm questioning. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but I'm questioning: should we tolerate all behaviour? Well, the law clearly says we shouldn't, because there's laws against causing physical harm, which comes from what? Behaviour. So not all behaviour should be tolerated under the law. But then again, according to the law, we should be tolerating all behaviours. So it's utter mess. It's a complete utter mess. But obviously what is tolerated and what isn't is dependent on what the government decide, because they own us. But again, coming back to the point, there's only a few people, the leader and the cabinet, who tell us everybody what to do. But it's thousands upon thousands of public workers who are building the police state by enforcing it. Whether they're pushing papers, sending out enforcement orders, beating people up, whatever they're doing, they're enforcing it. These people are your neighbours, maybe your family. I'm just curious, is there any conversations going on in between families and neighbours? You know, are people, when the police have arrested someone for a tweet that's offended somebody that they didn't even know, and maybe even the name wasn't even on it, are they going back home telling the missus what they did today and nobody's saying anything? Is the neighbour not saying anything? You know, these people that are in planning and kicking my friends off the land for no reason, is nobody having a conversation at home when they're having a cup of tea? So divided we stand, united we fall. We can't unite because we're at each other's throats. How is that even possible? But the division for me is people who want to live under tyranny and force it, whether they're consciously aware or not, and people who don't. That's the division. The elite politicians, the elite behind them, they're nothing. They've got nothing to do with this issue. It's the people in public service pushing all this, the order followers, the pen pushers. Oh, I'm just doing my job, it pays the mortgage. We've all got a mortgage to pay, or rent to pay, or bills to pay. You know, I'm not saying you should just drop your job like that, but if you're now aware or you're being told what you're doing, you think, what on earth am I doing? I'm building the prison for my child. At least give yourself a plan to get out of it and not do it. And I think we should be more vocal. You know, it's all right standing on a demonstration and having a chat to a copper in his uniform and what are you doing, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to listen at all. But what about the policeman who's your neighbour, or your neighbour up the road, or in your family? Are you having cups of tea and a quiet, peaceful, calm conversation saying, come on, what are you actually doing? Can you see what you're actually doing? This is the division that needs to be done, not the politically and the whoever's behind them. They're irrelevant. It only comes into place with all these order followers. It's the order followers that do everything. I mean, when the lockdown happened, I lost a bit of work simply because I was quite clear that I didn't believe it. I wasn't trying to force my opinion on anyone. I said, no, I'm not going along with it because I don't believe it. And, you know, people were afraid and crazy and that happened. I said, no, I'm not having anything to do with that. I'm not going along with it. And I see all the energy going towards them. It's the Starmer, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing that. None of them are doing anything. Oh, it's the Rock. No, none of them are doing anything. It's the Zionists. No, none of them are doing anything. It's the order followers. None of these plans that they throw out, the new one, the digital ID. Starmer said it. Well, so what? It's irrelevant. He can't push it. He can't force it. He's got no power to do that. It's the tens of thousands of public workers who will push it because it's my job. Oh, what am I going to do? That's where the problems lie. And that's where my opinion that the focus of attention should be put on the order followers. Not in a nasty way, but people having cups of tea with people, having a quiet conversation, say, come on, mate, what are you doing here? You're taking my freedom away, you're taking your child's freedom away, taking your own freedom away, because when you've done and when you don't serve any more purpose, they don't care about you, they don't care about any of us. So, yeah, divided we stand. There is a division between those who want true tolerance and freedom and those who are going to support the tyranny of this agenda. And again, it's not the elite, it's the people. There's 60 odd, I don't know how many people in England alone, 55, 60 million, in Great Britain, United Kingdom, maybe 70 million. And you got one guy and a few muppets around a cabinet that say, oh, this is how it's going to be. Numerically, it's just ridiculous. So they're not powerful, they're muppets. It's the tens of thousands of people working in society pushing it all, because the sociopaths, narcissists, just don't even want to think, don't care. They're the people who we need to be talking to, calling out. That's my opinion. Divided we stand and united we fall.